Welcome, Facebook, YouTube. How you doing today? Thank you for tuning in. And once again, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, like and share to everybody that you know. Today is our second to last episode here on Let's Talk Real Estate. We have another special guest. Um, my name is Elvin Morales. We are a realtor here in Berks County, and I have my co-host Angel and our special guest. Without further ado, let me go ahead and she's going to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. This is Rosa from Palo Magazine. Well, Rosa Julia Parra from Palo Magazine. I also happen to own Palo Homes and Palo Graphics. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
So Rosa, how you been? How's the magazine world? Yeah, how you been these last few months, few years?
Good,
Give us some information about yourself.
Yes. Well, I started the magazine, I want to say it was 2010. I was actually a former banker. So it was kind of odd that I would start a magazine, but I always say I'm not the type of woman that takes all the credit. It was my husband, who was then not my husband. So he wasn't even my boyfriend. It's just somebody that I met. And he said, hey, I think he approached me because I looked nerdy, so he said, I was at my brother's bar. They were doing some type of event that day for Mother's Day. And he saw me reading a magazine and he said, I never saw a woman reading at a bar. So he said, would you like to do a magazine with me? So it was just kind of weird, but and he said, do you know who I am? I said, no. He goes, I'm Chamuking. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know who you are. So it was just like the weirdest thing. So, yeah, and he had this idea, and I thought it was a great idea. He said, no one's reaching out to the Latino community. And he was correct. No one was. And he wanted to do this magazine. He asked me if I would do it with him. At the time, my friends, Maribel and Earl Lucas, were doing a magazine called Afro Latino. And I just felt weird doing a magazine because my friends were already doing a magazine, out of respect. And I said, you know what, let me ask them first. I just want to make sure, even though theirs wasn't focused on the Latino community, but just out of respect. So, Earl said, Rosa, you do you. So I was like, okay, thank you, Earl. So, I started this magazine with Chamo. It was first completely in Spanish. And the irony of all that was that I couldn't read and write Spanish that good. But, I was like, living in Google. So I figured it out. It's not that I didn't know. I knew how to read a little bit, and obviously I spoke it with my mom at home, but it just wasn't like magazine material Spanish, But I figured, you know what, I'm going to put it out there. I'll slowly learn. And the people just like seeing themselves in the magazine too. So it was just about recognizing other people. It wasn't about perfection. So, and we started this magazine, and just in a few months, it got crazy where the printing company told me, you're going to have to make the magazine bigger, bigger size, because it just won't close anymore. So we had that many ads. So you can see the need in the community, to advertise, and have people for example, I grew up here, so I'm a Berks County, and I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm a Berks County in the sense that I grew up here knowing all the culture here. But in respects of people that come from DR, Colombia, my husband's from Venezuela, they come here and it's a foreign country, and they feel disconnected with the Latino community or finding people just like them. So I think that's what I use Palo for, to do that connection, and that makes me feel good.
Wow. I think I met Chamo King when I was a baby.
Oh my goodness,
and
really?
I'm pretty sure my co-host here, Angel, he probably never met him yet. He was probably not even conceived at that time. So, but
These youngins.
you young guys, I know. Tell me about it. You mentioned you had a couple guests, or people inside your magazine. Who was your Can you name a few? Who were the ones you were wow, surprised that showed up on the magazine.
Oh,
And
like people that I featured?
yeah, featured your magazine.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many people that I can't even remember like everybody, but I featured Craig Poole from the Doubletree, Andre Young, that he has his You Evolving Now, and he's an author as well. This month, Coach Perez from Reading High, and we know he's coached a lot of up and great coming kids like Lonnie Walker, and a few other. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know sports because I don't. So, but I know he's doing a good job. That I know because I graduated class of '91 of Reading High, and my kids both graduated from Reading High, and you can feel that energy. The energy's changed, and you could feel that, and it makes you all of a sudden, I'm 50, so all of a sudden it's like I graduated in '91. You're talking about 31, 32 years ago, and I feel that. Oh my God, that excitement, So that's pretty cool. Earl's been on the cover, so it's nice to feature somebody who also has done things in the community. Who else? Nelson Gomez and his wife have been on the cover. Oh my God, so many. So many people that I featured. Margarita representing Colombia as well. Alba from Community First Fund. I think that when people don't choose to be on the cover. I choose them.
Nice, yeah.
And I choose them not because they're business owners, because I don't choose just business owners. I choose just something that I either saw on social media or went to an event and saw that person was making a difference in somebody's life.
Yes.
Regardless of the field that it's in, even if I don't understand the field, I investigate a little bit, ask them a little bit. Everybody wants to feel important for something or recognized for something they do, right? Because we're all special. Sometimes we forget. And we see, oh well, I'm a princess or I'm special. No, that's not true. We are all special in our own way, and everybody brings something to the table. And I think that's key. And I'm also a person that tries to recognize. I'm going to start recognizing more of the younger generation because they got a lot to say. And I always say, our parents said they worked hard, right, so that our kids, so that we wouldn't have to work hard, right? So then we're supposed to be doing the same for our kids, right? But then our generation sometimes the younger generation, has found a way to do things not have to work as hard, right? And then our generation or older says, oh, they're so lazy. Okay, but you said that you were going to work hard so that your children didn't have to work harder. And now if they found a smarter way to do it, what are you complaining about? We're getting there, and that's a good thing. So I don't, and I have two kids, a 24-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I've always told my kids, do what you want to do. If they said I'm going to college for this, I'm like, great. I never questioned, because everybody has their own talent. So in Palo, we like to feature everybody for different talents, so. Everybody's welcome in Palo, but I like to choose. I think it feels nice when you're called.
Yes.
Hey, we want to feature you, just like when you guys called me for this. I've done so many things like this, but it always feels good because you feel like the work you've done is validated and appreciated. So I think everybody's important.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. When I decided, I reached out to you because I seen what you were doing. They had a couple of things out there in the magazine world, newspapers. It's just I haven't seen the consistency of this magazine going on. So when I said, let me see if I can reach out to her, see if she wants to come and join, and I'd appreciate you showing up and taking part of this. So it was a pleasure. Now I know you touched on this a little bit. Can you elaborate more of why you did the magazine? I know you did touch on it a tad bit, but
yeah, again, just people like to feel validated, and I think it's awesome. In the beginning, when I didn't have enough funds, you buy a little Shutterstock and put it on the front cover, because it looked cute, and you saw that magazine, that edition didn't get that much attention. And you just put somebody from the community and boom, it blows. Yeah, it takes off because other people also despite I know people hate this word, but it does exist. Despite that everybody has a hater or two, right? Despite that, right? For the most part, human beings see other people in growth and they're like, oh my God, look at this person. Some might applaud you in your face, some might not, but some might be like, I like what he's doing or she's doing, and then they want to do it too. So you inspire people. So the idea of the magazine is also to inspire people. The other day I went someplace and somebody told me all these things that they were doing. I said, I didn't see it on Facebook. And, oh no, I don't put stuff on Facebook because then people think you're showing off. And I said, you know what? I disagree with that. I said that's okay, but maybe because I'm 50 and I'm at a different, because you go changing, I call it the. You don't care. Well, I don't want to say the words that I use when I express it in my head, right? But you start not to care. You really do. There is no more impressing. When you're younger, you say, no, I'm not trying to impress anybody, but you're still looking back, When you get older, you start not to care, and it's a good feeling. It's like a liberating feeling. And it's a shame that people feel that you can't showcase what you've accomplished, a fear of others saying, oh, look, this person is showing off. You know what? I don't care about that. Show off. You worked for it. Did you steal it? Okay, that's a different story, right? You didn't? You worked hard for it and you were taught to go for it? Or maybe you grew up like me. I grew up in public housing. I grew up in Oak Brook my whole life. You didn't see a future. I got accepted to college and my mom said, we have no car, no money. You need to go get a job. You're not going to college. And I didn't go to college. So you know what I did? I busted my butt and paid for both of my kids' college. Both of my kids, my son finishes in 2 years. He's not going to owe a penny because that was my gift. And not that college is everything. You don't have to go to college either. See, and that's what I explained that to them. If they wanted to go to technical school, that would have been fine. Do you see what I mean? Or if my son wanted to be a mechanic. But knowing me, the mother that I am, I probably would have told him, try to own the mechanic shop, make a little bit more money, But,
of course.
But you got to push them, you got to elevate them and think, I always say to people, for example, basketball player, any famous basketball player. Let's use Jordan, for example. Okay, they can no longer play because they get older, right? But they love basketball, right? Just like my husband loves radio. That's his thing, So he figured one day he's no longer going to be able to DJ, right? Because he's like, I'm getting older. There's younger DJs coming about, and they got the time to do that, right? So you start backing up. But he can't leave the music because it's almost like he would die inside, And you as a wife know that, right? So basketball players. They can't play anymore. Bad knee. They're too old. They're younger. What do? They do sneakers. They open up camps for kids so they can still be involved in the field that they love. So I try to showcase people in the magazine to let them know, like, you can continue doing what you love doing. Figure it out. God put, if for the people who believe in God or the universe or whatever, I respect what anybody believes in. Something special was put in each one of us. I don't have the talent that other people have. And I don't expect to have that talent. I'm not your girly. I'm not the type that knows how to put makeup on so perfect. And, but I don't expect to do that. So you know what I do? I support businesses that do know how to do that, and I purchase it for them and say, thank you, universe, for giving me the money to be able to purchase this, product or service from somebody else. So that's what the magazine is about. It's about letting people know, like, everybody has a talent. If you don't have that talent, you can purchase that service or talent from somebody else, and then we all help each other and we all grow. And especially Latinos. Yes. Latinos, for a long time, we weren't recognized. And finally, we're on the up and up. And I think that's key. And that's why I keep doing this magazine, among the other crazy things that I'm doing, because I try to mingle in a little bit of other things as well.
Oh, yeah, we're going to definitely want to touch on that. I definitely know that you've been dabbling in different avenues. Do you always wanted to work in the media? Like magazine and stuff like that? Do you always wanted to do that?
No, my family says when I was little, I used to buy a lot of magazines, and I'm a reader. I'm a big reader. So I'm a Barnes and Noble type of girl. But I always have a book in my bag. I do like that, but it's the irony. I like the magazine because it's educational and about my community. But I don't think I would enjoy doing a magazine about famous people, for example. I think that's overdone. And sometimes people are looking up to people for different reasons, and there's so many mentors in this community that I think are more heroes than someone that sings. With all due respect, I love my J-Lo because she's just, I'm not talking about her personal life. I'm talking about all the stuff she's accomplished, as a businesswoman. I love my Steve Harveys, especially Steve Harvey, Oprah. I love all that, The Rock. These are all people that, started at the bottom and, so I appreciate that. But there's enough media doing that. So that type of media I don't like. I don't like news, about, bad things happening in the community. The newspaper got that. There's magazines for famous people. So our magazine is about the community. That's why you don't see famous person on the cover. It's local people, unsung heroes, people that need to be recognized. That's what my magazine is about. That's what my magazine is about.
Going off of that, yeah. The title. Talk to us about the title. How did you come up with the concept or the branding for Palo Magazine?
Well, actually, again, back to Chamoquin, DJ Chamoquin. He used to have at Albright, he did radio or volunteer there for 12 years, and he had a show called El Palo Radio Show. So when I met him, and it was, again, his idea to do a magazine, not mine, he wanted to call it El Palo. And I said, oh, well, that's going to be difficult because, non-Latinos are not going to understand, and they're going to ask what it is. And how do you say direct translation, palo means stick? So, it was just kind of hard, But then I came up with the idea, like, wait a second. For us Latinos, palo means many things because it means a tree, el palo. But it also means a stick, un palo. If you're going to take a shot, which is celebrating, it's a palo. If you're going to take
I automatically thought about that one.
Huh?
I automatically thought about that one. Yeah. Nothing else but that one.
Yeah. And if you're going to, if you ever watch people who play baseball, if they do a home run, people say un palo. Or if something's successful, people say un palo. So, and it was so weird because once we started the magazine, we didn't think it was going to catch on too much. And people in the street with a magazine in their hand, and they were like, un palo. And we're like, oh, so it did. So then we decided to keep it. Yes, there's been doors that didn't open for many years because non-Latinos see a magazine and they see El Palo, they can't pronounce it. So they don't want to, exactly. They don't want to advertise because they're like, oh, I don't know. So that's when the magazine became bilingual. So I started making sure, because I ran into a lawyer one day. He said, I like this El Palo thing, but, it looks beautiful, but I don't know what you're saying in there. What if you're saying bad things and, or too controversial things or what have you? I said, you know what? Let me do this bilingual. So it takes up a lot more space, but let me do it. And that's when we converted it to both English and Spanish. But it was definitely 100% Chamo. I don't take credit, but it was so weird because we started the magazine together. But 6 months later, he kind of was like, I'm not so much into it. He likes graphic designing. He does all the graphic designing for the covers. He does our menus. He does all of that. But the content and all that, that's not his thing. His thing is not reading. He doesn't read books. He doesn't like any of that. When he gets on the radio, everything he says just comes off the top of his head. He improvises. He hates having a piece of paper to read off of. He feels it's not authentic, whatever. So we're different in that aspect. And I told him, are you going to continue the magazine or what are you going to do? He said, well, you decide. I took it, and he wants to help me, but didn't want to be 100% part of it. So I registered it on my own, and it's my magazine. He helps me with it, and it's been since 2010 since the magazine is going. So I think around 13 years this year.
Yeah, 13 beautiful years. Mm-hmm. Wow, 13 years. That's as long as I started in real estate. 13 years.
13 years.
Yep. 13 years. What would you consider your let me take a step back. What I do appreciate on these magazines is that you don't put yourself always on the magazine.
It's not about me.
And that's awesome.
It's not about me.
You put everybody, you put everything, everybody else, whatever's going on, who's the feature is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not you.
Yeah, occasionally, like once every 2 years. Like last year, for example, I won a couple awards, and it just so happened to be that I won like 3 awards in like less than 6 months. And a girl that works with me, she said, Rosa, I think you should put something in there because it helps people who have never seen the magazine, and if it reaches people that have never seen it, they can be like, look, this is what's behind the magazine. So occasionally I will, but no, it's and when we celebrated like our 100th issue, we did put ourselves on the cover because it was like a big thing for us. But again, it's not about me. It's about the community. It definitely is about the community. I like, besides doing the magazine, I love the fact that the magazine has taken me to a whole bunch of other things. Donating to different causes. Oak Brook, there's a group now. It's called the Oak Brook Youth Foundation. It's like 6-7 guys, and just going back to Oak Brook and watching what they're doing. And this weekend, I just went. Some singer, I don't really know his name because somebody told me last minute to go. He donated $10,000 to Oak Brook.
Wow.
You know, and because he came back and wanted to help out, and I thought, oh, that's nice. So I try to donate for back to school and things like that because I remember, you know, I didn't grow up with a dad. We had no car in our house. You know, I worked at McDonald's. I had to walk every day over and back. My mom would get our sweaters and stuff at the Salvation Army. You know, she depended on meals to come in. You know, I was working at 14 at McDonald's. So I know the sacrifices. So that's why I try to bring that all back to the magazine, especially if I see somebody tells me everybody has some sad story in their life. Everyone. So I try to make sure I showcase that, not to depress anybody, but to see what they overcome. We all overcome something. All of us, every single one of us.
Every day. Every day you come across something. Every day. What was your considered like a big break for you? What was your in this career?
I would say when I was finally being noticed outside of the Latino community. When I saw that the magazine was done in a respectful, tasteful way,
Yes.
and I would constantly get those comments, and I thought, well, the comments are good, but where's the money?
Yeah.
It's the truth. It's a business, right? It's not a business that pays a lot. It's a labor of love. But you need money to be able to produce that quality of magazine. That's not a cheap quality. Through COVID, through everything, I made sure that I kept up on my quality, even if I made less. It didn't matter. This belongs to our community. And I always want to showcase it. Many years ago, I think when you just asked me, like, what was one of the big moments? Reading Eagle wanted to buy me and partner up with me.
Nice.
So it was nice, but yeah. When you have a poor mentality, sometimes you're like, oh my God, Reading Eagle called me. And you're like, you know, and then you go back home because I'm a processor. I don't like to say yes right away. I like to go home and think about it. And I said, wait a second. Let me talk. Let's go back to the table again. Go back to the table. They were offering me way below. They wanted me to work for them. And I'm self-employed with the magazine. I didn't want to go back to working for somebody else. I sat in a cubicle for 21 years. I didn't want to do that anymore. I noticed that I'm a people person and I like to talk. So I said, no, I'm going to stick with it. This is something my community, I'm not going to sell out. So, and I didn't. And years later, I feel good about myself. Every now and then I'm like, thank you, universe, for not letting me let Palo go. Because, like I said, it's a labor of love. And sometimes you get, like I said, the poor mentality. You get excited when someone that you feel is bigger than you comes. And I didn't realize I have a big impact, too.
Across the board, you do. Now, you... I'm not sure about this, so you correct me if I'm wrong. This magazine, your magazine, is this strictly Berks County?
No.
Does it go to Allentown?
Yes, but very little. We have very little that we trickle into there because we try to go and do sales in that area. And you need the sales from those areas too, because you can't travel and spend time and there's no money coming in. So we've strictly kept it to Berks County. Now we do have other plans coming soon. We're just kind of going through stuff because we are mingling a little bit in everything, you know. So that, you know, we started doing We flipped one property, and then we bought a rental, which was a great deal for me being a rookie in that. And I'm not trying to get full into real estate in that. I'm not. But I also, out of all of that, the money that I made off of these, I was able to go buy a property in Puerto Rico,
Nice.
which I'm converting to Airbnb. I should be done with it in September when I go up for a couple weeks. I just have to furnish it, and I converted it to a 2-unit. So hopefully I'll get 2 rents from that. But I also left it that when I set it up on Airbnb, I'll block it when I want to fly up to Puerto Rico, and that way I have a vacation spot as well and not have to pay hotel, right?
Nice.
No one taught me
Congrats.
that, but it just made sense.
Good. No, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Block them off and you go up there for yourself. And we do have a question online. We have just a random question. Do you know of any book publishers by any chance?
Book publishers, I don't, but I know people that could help them with that. So whoever it is, we could get back to them with that information, because I do, for example, Andre Young, he's published like 7 books. I don't know if you guys know Andre Young, or if he's been,
Share a little bit about it.
yeah, it's a black entrepreneur. His name is Andre Young. He was into football. He was a mental therapist, and he owns You Evolving Now. It's in the magazine. His contact information is in the magazine. He writes every month. He has his own little like podcast or stuff that he does. And he goes to like different businesses. Like for example, the chamber can invite him, and he'll come, and he'll give. I don't know, like classes or whatever, or he'll inspire people, whatever. He's doing very good. Andre Young is doing very good. And I'm so happy because when I met him, he was just starting, and now he's taken off like hugely. His wife is on the cover of the previous magazine, so it would be our June magazine. She was on the cover.
Yeah, I guess I'm Facebook. George Jesus will say, "What's up? How you doing?"
Hey, George.
Andre Young.
I took George classes. I call him George classes.
George classes. There you go.
Well, you know, a funny thing about George
classes,
is that my mom lived on Chestnut Street, and George's mom lived on Chestnut Street temporarily. I was in my 30s. I had just sold a house, so I was living temporarily in my mom's house while we remodeled the other house. And there was little George walking with $1 to the corner store. So I remember George as a little kid going to the corner store, you know, with $1 in his hand to go buy candy. Fast forward years later, I'm like, wait a second, I know this kid. And I wanted to buy a house, and I wanted to get out of the city. And there's all these realtors. We have a lot of realtor friends, lots of them. And they're friends too, you know. And I said to my husband, I think we should go with George, just because he's young. And I think that's awesome that somebody who's 21 or whatever is doing his thing. I said, let's just give him a chance. Man, I got the house that I wanted. I still live in the house. I love it. He was quick. It worked out. It was great. So then when I wanted to get into flipping, I saw that so many people were doing flipping, but I didn't want to make a big business out of it. I just wanted to flip 1 or 2 properties to make some extra cash, since I'm so busy with so many other things. And I took a class that George was giving. And I think it was like George and Navid, and you were in there as well, right,
Yes, I
Elvin?
was. Yep. Yes, I was.
Yeah. Oh, you were too? Oh my God. So were you doing? Okay. Because I know sometimes some people are doing construction or running or in their car. And I took that class, and it really helped me make a lot of decisions. And it was so funny. I finished the class, and immediately I bought a flip for like $50,000, right? And then it was so funny because a month later, someone hits me up on Facebook after I put an ad about that I was looking for homes, and they hit me on Facebook and they said, "Do you want to buy mine? You said you'd give money in 2 weeks." And I was like, "Oh my God, I just bought this one. I can't do this." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, but you got to figure it out because it's a good deal." So it was a ex-brother-in-law of mine, because I was married before. And I deleted his message because I didn't want anybody else to take that deal, right? I called him and I said, "You truly selling this house?" So he was selling a house on Locust Street for $40,000 if I would get him the cash in 2 weeks. So of course I made phone calls. I got the money to him. We were in closing in 3 weeks, right? And this property that he sold to me for $40,000 had a tenant living in it. So I didn't have to go in and remodel or do anything. And the property, when I looked up on Zillow and everything, the property was the value was 95. I bought it for 40, so I was already up, and now it's like 130 or 140 that it's worth, whatever. So it was like a good deal. It was just like that all happened, and then just months later, probably like 6 months or so later, I decided, after I sold the first flip, that's when I invested the money into the Cabo Rojo house in Puerto Rico. So it's just crazy stuff. It's just crazy stuff,
Everything comes down. Step by step. See that?
And I think the universe, once you start asking for stuff and you start like, this is what I want, and you write it down and you figure it out, it just kind of all starts like, it's almost like all the energies go towards to help you accomplish that, because you're thinking about it, you're thinking about deals in your head, and you're like, wow, this person is doing really good, and this, so I think it's flowing the way it's supposed to flow.
Yes, definitely. That's part of actually a book that I read, is something along that same line, that the universe, the universe will conspire to make things happen if you look at it that way.
It's true. I believe that.
So that's amazing.
I'm a true believer of that. I could go on for stuff. Oh, I love Steve Harvey. Yeah.
And doing it.
Yeah.
And you were scared at first. I'm gonna get the money, but this was and you jumped.
And people like Steve Harvey have like motivated me. I listen to Steve Harvey's stuff sometimes over and over, and my husband will hear me. He goes, "Didn't you hear that already?" I'm like, "But I need to hear it again." See, and it might be different for somebody else, and that's where we have to start accepting that just because something works for somebody else, that doesn't mean that works for you. I'm the type that I need the constant reminder. Sometimes we have our low time where we're like, oh, why am I doing this? I'm so tired, and I gotta make dinner, and and my daughter, she needs this. And you start going through all this, and you start almost like kicking yourself down a little bit, right? You turn on that Steve Harvey, you turn on Oprah, they start talking about things that talking about having a Oprah, a latrine, and she was even raped, and you thought, and look where she's at now, and you got excuses? Like, I have no excuses, none. I grew up in a household, even though I never had a father, and I was told my father wanted nothing to do with me. I never let that affect me. It never affected how I feel towards men at all. Like, I never let any of that bother me. I never said, oh, well, I didn't have a dad growing up. Okay, well, I didn't, but so did probably a million other kids as well. You know what I mean? So, and also, my father, I was told, was a very abusive person. So when I married the second time, my husband, I said to him, he said, "Did you grow up with your dad?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, you've told me a lot of stories, and your father didn't seem like a nice person." So he goes, "You were actually blessed that you didn't grow up with him. So maybe God did that so that you weren't beaten or going through that." And I go, you know what? You're right. So everything happens for a reason. You just got to find the positive side. And through all this, you go through stuff, I had a brother who committed suicide. That was painful. That was super painful. We all grew up in the same house. We had dreams, and to see your brother 30-some years old, commit suicide, it's hard. It's hard. But you just keep going. You keep going because your kids are looking at you, your neighbors are looking at you, and that saying that they always say, do right even if nobody's looking. I have to always do that because someone's watching you. My kids said, "Mom, you never said when you grow up, my daughter, when she graduated from Reading High, everybody was excited, and my daughter was like, huh?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Mom, high school's like just like a first base." She's like, "I'm going to college. When I graduate from college, I'll be happy." And she goes, "Remember, Mom, you never said when you graduate from high school. You always said when you graduate from college." You skipped right over high school and jumped to, and I didn't realize I did that, and it's probably because I didn't go to college and I wanted them to go. But I didn't realize I was saying that. So, they're always paying attention. They're always paying attention. So you got to watch what you're doing in your car, in your house, in your job, on social media. I'm not saying act perfect. No one's perfect. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I have attitude, and I speak loud, and my husband's like, bájale, So yeah, you're not perfect. I'm not saying to be perfect. As a matter of fact, be authentic. be authentic, but do you, regardless of what people tell you, and stop. There's so many people trying to figure out what other people are doing. You can be inspired by other people, say, oh, I want to do that too, but you can find your own version of it and do it yours. I think that's key.
I agree. Nelson said hello too.
Oh, hey, Nelson. Nelson has been another mentor. I've been to Nelson's house. He has helped. He also sold one of my properties for me too. I even had Carlos Aponte sold one of my other houses for me that I lived in. And Margie sold my flip. So I know I've worked with a lot of people, and even people that are not just in the world of real estate, but people like Elsie Maduro, that I've known since I was a young girl, and is in the banking field, and I was a loan underwriter too. So, and it helps when I got into this a little bit of the flipping and a little bit of the real estate, because I worked for Wells Fargo and I was a loan underwriter for 38 states, including Hawaii, Florida, and I had $1 million lending authority. So I can approve big deals in Florida. So I kind of knew a little bit. So when you're looking at an appraisal, you're looking at Zillow, I can look at all that and understand all of that. So it makes it easier to work with me when I'm working with things like that. Or a bank says, oh, this and that. I'm like, no, that's not true. Because, so it helps. That helps. So there again, it's funny how I worked in banking, not ever knowing that I would be, purchasing a rental or flipping or an Airbnb. And all the background that I had from my Wells Fargo and Meridian days has helped me today. It's just everything has to happen for a reason. It brings you all the way around.
It's part of a big puzzle.
Yeah.
All the pieces falling in line. You mentioned everybody there. I work with every single body. Carlos,
I forgot Alex. Alex and Monica.
Yep,
I know, David, his brother. There's I know too many realtors. Too many. So I feel bad if I go to the house like, oh my God, who am I gonna pick? Because I don't want them to get offended. But I just share the love. Obviously,
Yes.
as you can see, I bought or sold with different people. So
everybody mentioned I was work right alongside him.
Yeah.
Nelson, he's here in the office. George is here in the office.
That's awesome.
Alex Basians he's doing his big thing. He's a big mentor to me.
I forgot Annie Aponte.
Annie Aponte, she's
Carlos'
awesome.
wife. Yeah.
She's
So
awesome. Carlos, I knew Carlos when he knew me. He knew my brother and myself. First, my brother did me. But Carlos has been in the game forever.
yeah, he has.
So he. Andy, I knew that them two were married, but of course
Yeah.
I always said, hey, are you sure? Let me not say nothing until I see them both together.
Together, yeah.
But Carlos is great. Carlos is another great guy.
I met all these people through Rumba.
Oh,
Because my husband, he's not only a radio personality for Rumba, we also, which I didn't tell you, another job that I have, we do sales for the radio. So if you come and say, hey, I want to do an ad for my real estate, or we sell houses or whatever, we do that as well. Which I also know somebody else that I forgot. What is his name? He's another realtor. He sold me one of the flips. I'll think of his name in a while.
shout out to all these realtors that she's giving out there. Each and every one of them, they're great. From
Carlos
George
Batista.
Nelson, Carlos
Carlos
Batista.
Batista.
He's here in the office as well.
Yes, him.
So we're
he
all
sold
here.
me my flip last year, 2 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, I love to share the love. That's me. But so Carlos and all them, I got to know them as well because we do sales for the radio station. So my husband likes to be creative in his radio shows, and he likes to put a slogan with everybody that comes. So if you come to do sales, he'll figure out who you are and what connects you. So he did Carlos Aponte, El Superman del real estate.
Hey.
So that's, my husband would call him the Superman. So it was so funny because we ran into somebody the other day, and they said, hey, I might want to do an ad, and they're a realtor too. And he goes, Elise, can I be Spider-Man? So they even remembered. And Carlos hasn't been on the radio for like 2 years because he's been doing not real estate, but more flipping and whatever. And they still remember that. Like even my husband did for Leopoldo, Supernatural Produce. My husband did Leopoldo tiene los huevos bajitos. And and you know that in Spanish that has like, double meaning. So it's so funny though, because it's not about that. It's about the branding, as you said earlier. And now everybody, Leopoldo told us that he's even been on a plane to DR and someone has said, tú eres el hombre de los huevos bajitos. And my husband's like, yes, because he knows the creativity that he uses, because we truly, with Palo, radio, flipping, Airbnb, whatever we do, we try to make sure that it's good for us and good for the other person as well. Because if it's all about the money, you'll never be satisfied, right? Because we always want more money, right? So, but if you do it for the love of it, not that you're going to give free stuff away. Business is business, right? You got to make your money. But you always have to add that touch and give back and help people. And if you're doing an ad for them, don't be like, oh, Carlos Aponte selling houses. You got to put love into that so that it works for them. And if it works for them, they come back and they want to advertise more. And then the community gets from it. So it just all is paying it forward and keeping it in a circle. That's all it is. People complicate life. Life is about a balance, right? And everything you do comes back to you somehow. You know, people always say, oh, be careful. If you ever die, you're going to be punished. No, all your punishments are here on earth, right? Do good and good things happen to you. You keep it flowing for everybody, give to schools, give to youth a little bit, even if you only got $50 to give back for a back to school thing, $50 goes a long way. My mom, you would have given her $50 for us for backpacks or whatever, she would have cried, so just being a well-balanced human being, it helps you in whatever you do, whatever business you do.
That's awesome. You now everything that you're doing, you mentioned a whole bunch of stuff. Your real estate, this and that. We can get into all those topics, and I love your energy is super high. I love it. How do you start your day? It's just you. That mind is probably running all the way to 1, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You start. What is your first thing you start your day with?
My husband first tells me, Rosa, relax, because my brain goes fast. Well, I do have ADHD, so I'm very I'm all over the place. You should see. You said how I start my day. I start early. I got used to Wells Fargo days, So you had to be at the office looking professional, have already eaten breakfast, delivered 2 kids to my mom's house to watch during the day with all their food, all their stuff. So I had to be up early, right? And when I answer that phone in Wells Fargo, you couldn't be like, Wells Fargo, you know what I mean? So actually, I got dinged one time for having that type of attitude, but I learned quickly when I didn't get my bonus. But so they used to monitor your calls. So all of that, again, was coaching me for what I do today, right? I answered the phone. Somebody was out, a coworker was out to smoke, and you were not allowed to say, oh, Elvin's not here, Angel's not here, I'll have him call you back. Elvin's not here, Angel's not here. Can you give me that loan number and I'll look at it for you? And if that loan was ready to go and all they needed was homeowners insurance, you had to wrap up the whole file. Even if that person was out smoking or whatever, that was your responsibility, right? So they called me, I helped them out, and then you always had to say, is there something else I can help you with? I said it, and the person said, yeah, can you look at this loan? When I typed the loan, it was my coworker, she was out smoking, and I went, okay, and I said that, and I got in so much trouble because they recorded it. And they said, you did well, just a couple minutes right before the loan. You didn't have a smile through that phone, right? And my clients weren't customers that were going for the loans. My clients were the people at the branch. Yeah. The people that, that take your loan in and whatever. But it was still unacceptable, right? So it taught me today. So now at Palo Magazine, Rosa speaking, how can I help you? It doesn't matter. I could be telling my kids, and I just switch that fast. The same way I switch from English to Spanish, I do the same thing, right? I get up early in the morning. I'm not a routine person. I hate routines. I think they kill you sometimes, right? Sometimes you could do what you love, but a routine can kill you. Kills a marriage, kills a job, kills everything, right? So I like to change it up a little bit. Today I can have orange juice. Tomorrow I can have coffee, hot tea, whatever. Go out to eat, make it at home, whatever. I'm very, there's people that, I got to do this every day. I can't do that. That just drives me crazy, right? So I get up, whatever mood I'm in, for whatever food I'm in, I'll do that, and I work downstairs in my basement. Well, it's a bi-level, so in the lower part of the house. And I have my gym right there, my desk right there. I have a desk for my husband, even though he has a studio on the other side of the lower level, where he does his shows and stuff. And if I want company, I'll tell him, can you work over here today? It's feeling lonely when you work by yourself all the time. I've been home for like 12 years, working at home. So I don't, thank goodness, I don't have to do as much sales as I did before. People just come, which is a great thing. That's when you're
Always a good feeling.
yeah, it's a good feeling when you open up in your mailbox and there's all these people saying, I want to advertise, I want to advertise. So I don't have to chase as much as I did when I first started Palo. I had to go door to door. I don't do that for years anymore, thank goodness. So I just go clear. Yeah, because,
I laugh. I know what that means.
when you get turned down, it starts to like slowly kill you. But when you're doing it over email, it's a lot easier. You don't, they can't see your face of crap, So I'm authentic girl, I say the truth. So I just go through my emails and I'm more about creativity. That's what my day's about. Like, what can I do next that keeps me happy, excited? I went through a journey 2 years ago where I realized that, okay, you're not a follower, Rosa. So you're a leader. So you're at that age where you got to do what you love.
Yes.
If there's something for the magazine that I feel, even though it's going to make me a little bit more money, but it's going to dry me out and I'm going to be exhausted, I just don't do it.
Yes.
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 And that's how I go through my day thinking of my future, where I'm going to be 30 years from now. Am I going to make it? We never know. COVID woke up the world, right? It made people, sadly, we lost a lot of people, right? But we also learned to appreciate a lot of things.
Of course,
and
yeah.
one of them is our health, because you could be the top realtor, the top flipper, the top whatever, but if you don't have your health and you don't take care of yourself, you got nothing. You have nothing. So it's taught me to go to the gym, watch what we eat. So now I like being self-employed because it does give you that flexibility. You know how when you want to start a business, people say, oh, I'm going to work my own hours.
Yes,
And
they're
that's why I'm
working.
becoming, well, you end up working 90 hours. You work more, right? But yeah, you work more, right? But if you love what you do, it feels different. One, right? It feels different. Plus, you could choose what 90 hours you work, right?
Yep.
If you got to run your mom to an appointment,
Yep.
and you got to be there 2 hours, it makes you feel good that you could stop what you're doing, delegate it to somebody else, and that you have the power to do that. Even if you know you're going to have to stay on the computer till 1 a.m, but you were able to do other things that are important, especially like my kids. When you have 2 kids that were in college and whatever, I wanted to be there for my kids. And that was one thing. I used to have an office. And the reason I decided to work from home was because I was in the office till 2, 3 in the morning. And I was like, this is not good for my kids. They're not seeing me. So then I thought, if I bring the office at home, no doors. My office has no doors. I'm not in a room. It's like a space downstairs. So my kids can come. Well, my daughter moved out, but my son, he just comes, pulls up a chair, and he knows. Unless it's like do or die, or I'm in the middle of something, I just push it to the side. I'm like, what's up, Papa? What do you need? And if I'm busy, I just say to him, if you give me half an hour or an hour to finish this, we'll go to Rita's, and then we'll come back. I can only spend 2 hours because I got to get back to it. But it feels good to be able to do that because I didn't have that. My mom's a great person. Everybody loves my mom. But my mom, older parents, older generation, they're kind of like, go outside, play, blah, 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 So now you know that they need that love and that balance so they can grow up and be, if they want to be business people as well and whatever. So my hours, it has I do whatever. I have a flexibility. If I look and say, you know what, Chamo, I think we need to go to Puerto Rico for 3 weeks. Let me move some stuff around. But I will tell you something funny that I do. And I admit to it because I don't care anymore, right? A lot of people call me, right? And they're like, okay, we'd like to sit down and talk with you. I've learned to, what is it about? Because sometimes people waste your time, right? And yes, it's important to them what they want to talk about. But it could have been a Zoom. It could have been a simple phone call. It didn't have to be 2 hours of time, right? So I learned to do that, right? That's a good one. But what I learned to do, hey, I work for myself, right? So they call and they're like, yeah, Rosa, we were wondering if we can sit down on Monday the 16th. I look down at my calendar. Monday's empty. I go, oh man, my Monday's booked. Solid booked. It is booked. I really can't. I can do Tuesday. You know why? Because I just don't feel like going on a Monday. Because I know what happens Sunday. And then Monday, usually, I stay in my pajamas, go down the steps, organize myself for the week, because I don't want to do it on a Sunday, because Sunday I'm trying to relax. So I use my Mondays to organize myself. And if I happen to have the energy, then I just keep working that day. That's fine. But I try not to see other people, because I think that sometimes it kind of discombobbles your whole week sometimes. Like, you have a plan, you know what you're doing, then you stop for a meeting, for something else. It could have been an email, and then next thing you know, you're off your path. And so, yeah, I'm busy on Mondays.
Mondays take off.
Yeah.
So work-life balance. You got the
Definitely.
down pack?
Yep. I think that's important. Work-life balance is key for everything. That works for marriages, for work relationships, whether you work at a factory or you're an executive. Everything is about a balance. If you eat too much, it's not good. You work too much, it's not good. Like, everything is about a balance. Even if anything you do, if you do too much of it, is not good. So it's a balance. If you spend all day with your husband, not good. You know, everything. Right, you see what I mean? Or your wife or whatever. It's not good, right? We're individuals. We all have something in our head. You could have a wife, and your wife supports you in your dreams, or a husband that supports you in your dreams, but they have their own dreams too, right? Mm-hmm. So we each got to give ourselves space. Sometimes people say, how do your husband and you work all the time? You guys are together. I said, no, we give each other our space. We do, because we've learned to meditate now too, just time out to not think, because you think so much. Yep. And when you're eager and you're young and you wanna do the whole, I gotta do this, I wanna do this. Sometimes you gotta quiet the brain and be like, shut up. Just don't think about anything, and it helps you. That's why vacations are good. You know, when you're younger, you rack up the vacation. Oh, you don't take the vacation, and once you start getting older, you're like, use up all that vacation. You deserve it. You know, you need that time out. You know.
I agree. I try to break down my days. I told him my calendar on my phone is like a Fruity Pebble box. It's
colors.
The colors.
Color coded
across the board, and I try to stick to it. But you have a lot more things going on. You have the magazine. You have the flipping. Let's get into that. I know. We have a few things you'll be doing. Just Palo Homes and beyond this magazine. What other things you do?
Yeah, we do graphics, and that's something I don't pitch too much because we're so busy. But if it comes, but it's so funny. Another business thing, I always like to. There's a lesson in everything, right? And I like always to share any experience that I went through. Many years ago, probably like 10. We started the magazine like 13, or maybe like 13. We started the magazine, so it was like 11 years ago. We were doing the magazine. Somebody called in Spanish, and they're like, oh, tú haces tarjeta, you do business cards. We're like, no, we're a magazine, right? And then I thought, ding, 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 wait a second, why don't we do business cards? Because isn't that like a graphic design, but smaller? He's like, yeah, I can try it. Call back the person, but like, you know what? We never did business cards, but we're going to experiment, and yours are going to be free just because we're going to try. Because I'm not going to tell you if they didn't come out pretty. They're free because we're going to try. So we started doing business cards. Then we realized, wait a second, we were already advertising La Casa de Chimi, Fine Fare, all of these people, but they needed business cards, menus, flyers, restaurants, Rancho Merengue, Puerto del Sol. All of these people needed all these other graphics that they were going to New York and whatnot for. So we decided, we can add this to this clients. This is awesome, right? Without us realizing, because sometimes you could take credit and be like, damn, I'm smart. Look what I did. But this wasn't that way. It just happened, right? The universe brought it our way. So I can say that today, for me, it's an honor that if someone starts a business, let's say, for example, a Latino restaurant, I can offer them advertising in the magazine, a story. I can offer them radio advertisements. We'll do the script for them, design it for them, give them a slogan. We can do a logo for them. We could do their business cards. We could do their flyers. We could do their menu. And I know English and Spanish, so we can do bilingual format. So we didn't realize we became a one-stop shop for these clients. So we can offer to them all of these things and at a lower cost because we work with a printing company that I only print bulk. So we do 1,000, 2,500, and 5,000, let's say, of our products. So it costs less. Like, for example, we do 5,000 business cards for $200. Not bad, with a design, everything, right? So it's something that's helpful to somebody who's just opening a business because we can do the whole package. We can go there, talk to them in the language that they understand. So we didn't even realize this. We didn't plan it. It just all, happened that way, So it's just weird how things happen. But yeah, we offer that service too. And then real estate, I want to tell you, I got motivated by people flipping, right? Saw George was flipping and I saw he was giving the classes. And I thought, I'll put in some money and just learn a little bit and see how it goes. I already knew a little bit about stuff like this at Wells Fargo, what have you. So I just wanted to make a little bit of money. I didn't want to I still don't want to get into the business full. It's a lot of work. Like that first flip, I was barely at my house. And then when I would come at night, I have to work all night in the magazine because I was watching the contractors and doing this and getting, you live at Home Depot, Hebe's, all those stores, Empire, you know what I mean? So, so it's very difficult. But one of the things that helped me a little bit was not helped me a little bit. I apologize. Helped me a lot was I have a good relationship with my ex-husband. So my ex-husband, while he doesn't work in construction as a job, he works at DECA. He always fixed our houses up. He used to watch Bob Vila and those shows on TV, whatever. So he has been my savior. And the fact that my ex-husband and my husband now get along. Like they will go to one of those auctions to get a door that's needed for the whatever on their own by themselves,
She lives in an alternate universe.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And I think people were taught in society that ex-wife, hate her. Ex-husband, hate him. Find something wrong with him, and that's not the case. We were together 20 years. It just didn't work out. We got together too young. I was 16 and he was older than me. So, but he's a great guy. He was always a great guy, and he's a great guy to my children. We get along. He spends Christmas at our house. Thanksgiving, everything. He brings his girlfriend. My family loves him. Cool. My mom, my sisters, all my nieces still call him uncle, so we have a great relationship. My husband, like I said, they work together. So when I bought the house from George, it needed remodel. It was an older home, and my ex-husband called me. He said, I saw you bought a house.
Of course, George, another remodel. Yeah, another one. God damn, George, you can't get them a top of the line house?
He got me a good deal.
Oh, my God.
He got me a good deal. I bought a house. Now I'm jumping. I bought a house, the house I live in. 0.52 acres, right? So it has decent land. It's out of the city, but close to the city because most of my work is in the city. I live like close to Stokesay, Captain Cove, up that way. And I bought the house for $159. With 0.52 acres, it has a space. My husband has a studio, I got my office, 3 bedrooms. It's just nice. We just love it. We have the yard, the birds, the deer, like perfect, So I love that. And I just come down the hill and I'm at City Park in 4 or 5 minutes. So nice. I just love that. Yeah, I had to say that because I love my home.
Yeah, she even mentioned the deer. She even gave shout out to the deer. Look at that.
Yeah, to the deer. I love that. But yeah, so my ex-husband has helped in a lot of these projects, so it's made it easier. There's always people willing to help you. So he's done the flip for us. But he didn't do the Puerto Rico house because, then I would have to pay for his flight up there or whatever. But yeah, so we mingle in a little bit. I just don't want to become full into that because my son graduates from college in 2 years, and I want to make a change. I don't know what I want to do yet. I'm not going to say that I'm going to stop Palo, but I might. Who knows? I don't know. It's just, I think every 10 years or so, you start looking for a change in your life or whatever. So, once my son is done with college, I'm not going to throw him out, I'm not trying to push him out, but I am going to start thinking of what do I want, because I'll have no kids in the house, and, it's time to figure out what you want to do, because I don't want to be 75 and working.
Yes, I hear you on that.
Yeah.
I have two more things for you. It's like questions.
Yes.
For everything that goes down, and we touched this on a little bit. Everything that goes down. How do you manage to wind it down? What's your like method? Like, what's your? I'm gonna time to me to cut it off. I'm done for the night.
I think that I've always been a realistic type of person, right? So, it's very easy for me to turn something on or off.
Okay.
For example, I'm not in love with any material things, right? So, I've been living in this house for 6 years, remodeled it, beautiful. I have nothing on the walls. Nothing on the walls, right? So my husband says, well, aren't you going to buy, women buy? What I said, did you say women buy? No, Rosa. This is not women's house. This is Rosa's house. I became a non-clutter person. I don't like having so many things, right? So the less I have, the better, right? So I'm not the chick that has 25 purses. I think I have one to go out and my bag that's beat up, and my husband will yell at me and say, Rose, I think it's time for you to get into the bag. Oh, okay, I'll get a bag because that one kind of looks beat up. So having less materialistic things helps me wind down, because I'm not sitting and worrying about, I have to do this, I have to do that. I've also learned to I don't have to be everywhere.
Yes.
When you first start a business, you feel like you got to be in every networking and you got to be all over the place. And yeah, maybe you do, so people know who you are in the beginning. But then you can wind it down, and I've learned to do that. Now I've learned with Palo too. I don't make that much money that I have a reporter and, so I've learned that I can't be there, but you know how I can help you? You're doing a marathon. I can't be there. Hey, can you have somebody take pictures, the photographer, and send me a little blurb about you, whatever, and I'll make sure to include it in the next edition. So I found that medium where I can be there for people, but I don't have to sacrifice so much of Rosa's mentality or men. My mind, so that I've learned, because before you were everywhere and you get home and you feel empty and deflated and you're like, yeah, but I love what I do, but you were all over the place. You're eating, I had DJ hours because my husband used to DJ everywhere, and you were just, I call it a hot mess. And now I learn, I meditate. I'm not good at it. I'm learning, because this is me. You're correct. I go meditate and I'm like, oh, I wonder what color we should paint that house in Puerto Rico, or, oh, is college money due in 2 weeks? Oh, I got to check that. So I thought this is horrible. I don't know how to meditate. I literally thought, well, this part in my expression, like, this is a non-Latino thing. This is a white people thing. I can't meditate. My brain's all over the place. But I learned that that's okay, because your heart doesn't stop beating, your lungs don't stop working, your liver doesn't stop working, so your mind doesn't stop working either, So it doesn't have to perfectly be quiet, you know what I mean? I just have to learn to channel it and find different ways to quiet myself down, It may just be reading a book, even though I'm still thinking, but I'm not reading a business book, because then, of course, ideas will start flowing. I'll try to read something that's more relaxing, so there's just different ways that I do, just to relax. And even watching TV, like, we don't have cable at home, right? So we just have Netflix, right? Because I'm not a TV person, right? But at nighttime, I noticed that my husband wants to put Pablo Escobar or whatever, people killing and whatever, and then you go to sleep and you're all like, the next day you're like, damn, I had a couple dreams, there was a dog and a wolf was eating me, because you're so busy, right? Your mind doesn't stop. So then I said, you know what, let's try to find funny movies at night. Yes. You fall asleep, you're laughing, it's a good vibe. So there's little different tricks that you can find, to do that. I'm not a drinker, but sometimes a glass of wine with a piece of chocolate, just enough to relax you. Now it's kind of difficult because I'm menopausal, and I say it because nobody wants to talk about that either, right? But I drink a glass of wine and I said, woo, it's hot in this room. So now it's like I better drink juice or water instead. But just everybody can find little things, but they should always be things that you like to do. Sometimes even just chilling with your kids or hearing them talk,
Yeah.
helps you. Just listening to what their dreams are, whatever, kind of makes you feel like, wow, this is cool. My kids have dreams. And so just, I think what works for you. I always tell what I do, but what I do isn't the correct way for you.
Yeah.
You have to figure out your own way, what's best. Maybe for you, it's going out, working on your motorcycle or working on your car that you love, like George. He loves cars. So maybe for him, racing, whatever, how many miles that for him is relaxing. For me, I would be like, oh my God, get an ambulance, But for real, it's just everybody is different. For some people, it's a pool. For some people, it's reading. For some people, it's just sitting there and doing nothing.
Nice.
Some people maybe church, So I think that everybody has to figure out what's best for them.
I agree with that. And picking up back off of that, one last thing I have for you. I ask everybody this every single week. What is your definition of success?
Success. That one's hard.
I know it is.
Yeah, that one's hard because everybody thinks it's money, right? Until you get money and it brings you more problems, right? But you still want money, right? I think somebody said one day something like, money brings you like more problems, and you're like, okay, we'll bring on the problems, right? But I think for me, the definition of success is doing what you love, regardless of what it is, right? Doing what you love, but never forgetting where you came from and helping others. I think that is so key. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And as I got older, I realized I went back and kind of mapped out times that I was most successful in my life. And it was always when I didn't think of me first and I gave to others. You know what I mean? For example, I bought this house and I want to fix my sunroom because it's stingy, right? But my mom needed a roof, and she has a small city home. So that was about $8,000, So you do it, right? I did it, and Lord knows I was sacrificing because I'm paying for my kids' college at the same time and doing all this. And all of a sudden, after I did that for my mom without thinking, mom's roof is first. All of a sudden, all these things were happening to me. I was buying a flip, how did that pan out that I bought a flip and thought that was going to take up all my assets and all of a sudden I'm buying a rental 30 days later and 6 months later buying, because I think that if you don't think that success is just within you, it's something that you have to spread and help other people with. I think it balances you in a way, and almost like you don't realize that there's a harmony that comes in. And I think that abundance creeps right in there. It knows, if you wake up and I gotta go to work today and blah, 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 and you're complaining. Steve Harvey says all of these things in different ways. I'm not good at words, like him, but, if you do right and let the abundance and not worry about so many things, everything just flows. And I think that's true success. Just having a balance is true success.
Nice.
That's what I think.
Awesome. That sounds perfect. That sounds really good. You ever anything?
Me, no. You got any projects you're working on? Anything new? Any new features? If you want to give a little.
What am I working on next? Oh, our next edition is our West Reading edition. People forget West Reading is an extension of Reading, right? So, and it's cool to have both the city of Reading and West Reading, and that we're able to experiment different things, right? So our feature is going to be on West Reading, and then we're doing Hispanic Heritage Month, one of my favorite all time throughout the year. And as far as houses, I'm still doing the Cabo Rojo house. It's taking me a little bit longer because I'm doing no loans, no whatever, doing it cash, so I go up, and every time I go up, I try to take up a few thousand and whatever. But I think in September when I go up, I'm ready to furnish.
Nice.
And then just experiment with this Airbnb. I don't know how it works too good, but I was talking to Alex's wife. She was giving me some tips about, different, how to set it up, of how to rent it, because it's 2 units, but you can convert it to 1 if a whole family wants to stay. So I got to figure that out. But that's basically what I'm working on now. And my husband's working on a few projects because he's on 12 radio stations right now.
Nice.
So, and we finally got that he can be in Puerto Rico and be doing his radio show from Puerto Rico, from wherever we go. So it's just a mic, a laptop, and Palo is also workable from a laptop. So it's nice. I was in Puerto Rico for a couple weeks in June, and I was able to do sales, everything from sitting in my bed with a laptop. So that's kind of nice. That feels good. And so, but that's all I'm working on. Still remodeling my mom's house, trying to fix up her house for her. But right now, I did go to see a house the other day, but I'm like, okay, just slow down. Slow down.
Once again, Rosa, appreciate you coming through. Guys, if you on YouTube, Facebook, you guys, she does everything. One stop shop, magazine, pens, advertising, whatever you guys need. Contact her. She's a one stop shop for all your advertising needs there. Once again, appreciate you showing up. Love it. Love the energy. For coming here. This is my last second to last episode for a while.
Okay.
But so again, thank you. Share it. People subscribe, follow me, whatever it is they say nowadays on YouTube. But appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. Where it comes to the end. Much love to all you guys. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Much love to all you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.